The CGA Tour, a podcast unlike any other. Now your host, Calvin Alexander.
Welcome back to the latest episode of the CGA Tour Podcast. As always here, I'm your host, Calvin Glen Alexander. And on this episode of the CGA Tour Podcast, I'm joined in person, although not on video, but I'll work on that next time here, by Chuck Biffle, Lakers kind of fan, but more Kobe fan. Grew up in the Jordan era.
Yes.
Right? What am I missing here for your intro here? What more should I add to it? Cubs fan?
Cubs fan for sure. Colts fan for sure.
Colts fan, okay.
Colts fan. Bulls fan. I was a Bulls fan back in '92. I actually was born in Gary, Indiana, so we had all the Bulls games. So I was blessed to see all the 72 and 10s, the three-peats. So I was seeing Jordan every day. Because in Indiana, in my region, I don't know if everyone knows, but up north, closer to Chicago, Indiana's on Central Time. And more south towards Indianapolis is Eastern Time. So we see different games. We don't see the Pacers, their games. We see all the Bulls, all the Cubs games. So at a young age, it was kind of cool to see the greatest do it, you know? It was nothing else. Michael Jordan every day, every game, home game, away game. So it was kind of hard not to be a Bulls fan. But their franchise after Jordan, seeing they did him, and then the whole Eddie Curry stage, the Jay Williams stage, it seemed like the front office didn't know what they were doing. It's like every good player they got, they traded. They didn't really seem to invest in me. I'm like, I can't be that type of fan. Like after that, I just became a player person. So that's how that came about being a Bulls fan. So I wouldn't say I'm a Bulls fan. I'm a Jordan fan.
Gotcha,
so that
okay.
what made it, I'm a player person and kind of made me shifty about the whole team thing. Because you see how the front office is running. It's like, how can I support this? How can I really go hard for this franchise? And it's like they make me look crazy every year. I can't keep going for this team if they're not doing the right moves, you know?
So for anyone watching on YouTube and stuff, I'll have to add in a photo of you just so I can have side-by-side so people know, a little more what you look like. But when you say 92, I was born in 93. Right. So like that's before I was even alive. So I got to, even though I've said this before to you, I am shocked that you're not younger than I am.
Oh, for sure. So I was born in 88. So just my 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 fresh. When you're a kid, you're finding out what's cool, what's awesome. So the whole hype around the town was the Bulls, Michael Jordan, all the posters, all the great T-shirts, like all the fan gear back then. If you still have it, is vintage. It's a product collective. My aunts, my uncles, family members, they have all this cool Bull stuff like T-shirts, posters, all that good stuff, man. It's pretty cool to have, man. So at that age, 88, being 4, 5, 6, 7, just watching the greatness of Michael Jordan is pretty awesome. Being a kid, just seeing it like, oh my God. And I didn't realize, like, I'm thinking everyone's watching Michael Jordan. But I didn't realize, like, it broke down in regions, like, everyone wasn't able to. Well, maybe on NBC every Sunday, because the Bulls was a hot ticket, I'm pretty sure. Everyone in different states was able to see it. But every night, you get to see why you don't like the Hawks back in the day, why you don't like the Detroit Pistons. Who else we didn't like? The Supersonics. The Jazz, for sure. I hated the Jazz.
Well, Jazz,
Supersonics just because
Sonics, Western Conference matchup?
Because of Gary Payton.
Yeah.
Gary Payton, Sean Kemp, and Dylan Shrimp back in the day. They used to kill us. The Hawks, I remember Steve Smith, Mookie Blaylock, Mutombo. I couldn't stand him, man. But all the Bucks, Glenn Robinson, he's from Gary, Indiana. When they had Sam Cassell and Ray Allen, so I remember all those games, man. It was classics, man. I really grew up in a great era of basketball, for sure.
I think no matter what you did, but I know all that from watching The Last Dance, like documentary, right?
Yeah, right.
I know all of it from watching that Netflix 10-part series, and I'll keep watching it. But it's fascinating to me to see, to think of it. All right, it's regionally how you watch NBA games versus now, where you got League Pass or whatever.
Right.
When you're 5 years older than I am, right? So it's just such a difference in growing up there.
Right. So imagine then if you had the choice, like, hey, the Bulls are a hot ticket. Michael Jordan's really the coolest. And you could just dial in anytime you want to. Instead of, like I said, being selective like every Sunday or NBC, the highlight game of the night is Michael Jordan. So that's a great point. Imagine if we had technology back then and we could just tune in whenever. I think the NBA would have blew up. Everyone would have tuned in to Jordan, like, to his greatness. And for him not to be on every television every day like he was on mine and still be considered the greatest, the GOAT, or some might say, most would say, and the highlights and the impact he has on the world, not just the United States, not just Chicago, not just his hometown. it very speaks volumes. It speaks volumes. So if we did have NBA League Pass, imagine how magnified his global impact would even be. Like he'll be even major right now, you know?
Yeah, I keep thinking about how everything is global now, but everything's everything is national, right? Like you've got a bunch of Steph Curry fans growing up in Oklahoma City, you know, even though you got the Thunder there, you've got just all these fans, whatever.
Right.
I mean, I've worked for a couple of different NBA teams where the biggest draw, the blackout dates, or whatever, are Warriors, Lakers. Right. It's gonna be Lakers for forever, but Warriors, you know, the other teams in the finals, right? Like Bucks, Suns, not too long ago, whoever it may be. And then you go to the game and you're like, all right, cool. It looks like that everyone's dad may be a Pistons fan, but the kids are Lakers fans, or the kids are Warriors fans, or whatever.
So to piggyback off of that, I have a son. He's 14 years old. He actually got to see the last good era. I wouldn't say last good era, but the great era of basketball when Kobe played. So he understands how deep the appreciation for him. And you'll be surprised how much video games like NBA 2Ks like keep the kids in tune these days. Like they know who the Penny Hardaways are, they know who the Gary Paytons are just because off of the legend games off there. So I said that off to say he grew up in Ohio, in Indiana, but he's a Warriors fan. He's a Steph Curry fan. He's a Tennessee Titans fan. You know what I mean? Just random states just because he has access to those teams and news sources. So it's pretty awesome that if you did want to go out of your state and choose to be someplace, you could, because he's not a big Ohio fan. Like, even though he stays in Ohio, I shouldn't say this, but he's anti-Ohio. But he does want to go to Dayton. He's a Dayton fan. He's a Dayton Flyer fan. He's a Dayton Flyer.
Big Obi Toppin fan?
Yeah, he loves him. He went to the camp and met him.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's sick. Yeah.
So he loves it. But I can't imagine growing up, now that I think about it, being in where I was living and watching Indiana Pacers game at 4 or 5. I don't think I would be as entertained.
Reggie Miller just wasn't.
Reggie Miller, nah. I was able to respect Reggie Miller a little bit later in his career just because of the impact of Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan made you hate a lot of people. I forgot the New York Knicks. We really hated the Knicks. I didn't like John Starks, Nick Harper. Definitely didn't like Patrick Ewing. They're like, all this sweaty guys, all this big guy. Like, what are they doing? John Starks used to kill us all the time, man. This just was Anthony Mason. You know, it was just horrible, man. So I couldn't imagine I wasn't a big Pacer fan at all. Like, I couldn't imagine watching Dale Davis every day or Jalen Rose. But I did become a fan later on when Jordan retired. So like I said, I wasn't a team person. I was a player person. So I could respect somebody coming from the Eastern line. Now it's perfect. Like, oh, Indiana's doing good. Pacers, like, I represent, but I couldn't say I was a Pacers fan, so I can't hop on the bandwagon, but I respect them a lot.
I liked the Pacers when they were playing against the Cavs, just because I was never like I was a LeBron James fan for like a year.
The Paul George
and then the Thunder came to Oklahoma City, and that made me go, all right, like I get like sick and tired. Like I think of a small market team fan. You get sick and tired. You're like, all right, cool. The Cavs keep winning every year, or they keep making this far, or whatever. Because they're this other small market team. Right. You're a small market team on the rise, and you're like, all right, like maybe we can do something. And then the Thunder have, of course, immediate success, you know, all that type of stuff. But okay, all right, the Cavs will be whatever, and then it just kind of grows into like hate's a strong word, but a dislike of LeBron because he's 24/7. It's just it's not ESPN, it's LSN for LeBron Sports Network, right? Like.
So flashback. So imagine, like, I can imagine everyone hating Jordan, or why they don't hate the Bulls, or why everyone hates the Yankees, or the franchises coming from a small market, or a team like who just doesn't get as much attention. It's like, I'm tired of these big market teams and just they get all the shine and these big major players. Like, of course it's expected, but come on, man. Like, let's see something different. We're tired of seeing Cleveland versus Golden State all those years back to back. I'm sure they felt the same way against Boston and Lakers back in the day. You know what I mean? Jordan, and he made a few interesting with the Pistons, and they had one against them, and they had the one against, we hated, excuse my language, we hated Utah. I can't say that enough. Utah was one that resonates deep, for sure. Yeah. I did not like Karl Malone.
No, John Stockton, not the mailman.
Jeff Hornacek. It was a
minivan driver. Yeah.
Couldn't do it. Big, what's number 00? Was it Ostertag? John Ostertag or something like that. I couldn't stand him, man. Then he had the guy with the glasses, car or something like that. I remember all this stuff.
It's interesting to me that you don't like those guys, even though, I mean, Jordan fan, Bulls fan, you beat all of them. Like, I mean, Jordan was 6-0 in the finals. So my little brother, youngest brother was 15.
Yeah.
And I've asked him before. All right, who do you like? Who do you think's better? Who do you think's the GOAT? Is it LeBron or is it MJ? Right, and that's much more of a. Like I watched MJ play a couple minutes for the Wizards. Right, like that's what I can remember at least.
Yeah,
you know,
I
so I don't remember. Like right now, he's gonna remember really well the decline of LeBron, but he also started watching the NBA when he was 4 or 5 or whatever too. When it's the peak of LeBron, where he never saw MJ play. Just kind of like how. At least I think personally, like I never saw MJ really play.
It's more like highlights in YouTube. So to piggyback off that with your younger brother, my son's 14. He saw the peak of Kobe when he was 4 or 5.
Right, yeah.
So he knows why Kobe, like he gets it when you shoot a shot or anything. Like Kobe is my GOAT. Like I got to witness Kobe, but I understand Michael Jordan's that guy. You know what I mean? And old enough now to have his own opinion, like, man, LeBron's good, but I just don't like him. You know what I mean? Steph Curry's my player. You know
Steph Curry's, yeah.
Steph Curry's his favorite player.
Hands okay.
Down. Like, no.
Well, favorite player versus, because I've had this discussion with him, right? Like, he's 15, as you know, very opinionated, right? Like age, strong in it. And I'm now much more in like I don't know. Yeah. You know, I'm still I'm still curious. Like, I don't know. I'm operating that gray area more or less. And he's definitely black and white as far as it goes. So he's always gone, no, I think it's LeBron. I'm like, all right, well, like, lay it out for me. Give me a reason why, whatever. Like, I'll hear you out. Because I think it's MJ. But I think it's MJ because if you're going peak, it's MJ. Like, that's not a question. It's just, 6-0, takes 2 seasons off or season and a half, whatever you want to say, for the, to go play for the White Sox. And then it still comes back and it hasn't missed a beat.
Right.
But then after that, okay, there's the decline. Where it's LeBron, he's right. Going to play 20, 23 years in the league, pretty whatever it's going to be. It's incredible.
Right out of high school.
But what is your, because littlest brother, I think he hears me out for sure on Jordan, but I also am not that strong of taking Jordan because I didn't watch him. Okay, so what do you and your son talk about? Right? Yeah.
More with GOAT talk. When it comes to LeBron, it's like you said, like he's tired of hearing about LeBron. Yeah, he's like, it's all LeBron. And he stays in Ohio, so it doesn't make it even better.
Oh, yeah.
So he sees all these kids probably LeBron jerseys and Cleveland jerseys. He's old enough to know, like, he's good. I respect him, but it's just like, come on, man. Like, I'm just tired of hearing about this guy. And I'm sure being a Warriors fan and being a Steph Curry fan puts a lot on that. But when it comes to the GOAT, for him and Michael Jordan, then it goes to Kobe. Like, he was old enough to catch that peak to realize, like, hey, people are so quick to forget Kobe was the closest thing that emulated Michael Jordan. Pretty much studied him and then mastered that and then added a few pieces to it, and elevated it. LeBron's a great player on and off the court. He's a great person off the court. That would be the only thing I would say GOAT talk of where he's more over Jordan for me personally would be off the court. Just because how he represents the culture, how he speaks up, how he represents something. He speaks out. Michael Jordan was more like on the court, I'm on the court, I'm a monster. Off the court, hey, it's my life. You do what you choose, you know what I mean? But I'm going to be very selective of what I speak on, if I speak on anything. But, hey, I give you enough of my life on the court. Off the court, you can say what you want to say. I don't care. As long as I show up and do my job to the best of my ability, which he did, what can you really say? Some thought he was an a-hole. Some thought he was the greatest ever. Some people thought he was cocky. Some people thought he was arrogant. I can't imagine so many opinions on Michael Jordan if you didn't live in Chicago, in the region, or a North Carolina fan,
Right.
I'm pretty sure if you talk to a Knicks fan, he's the most hated person in the whole world. I know people who said they never bought a pair of Michael Jordan shoes just because they hated Michael Jordan so much, And that's pretty, when you think about it, that's pretty major. That's pretty big to me, in my opinion.
That's kind of crazy to me just because that's truly... Like, the Jordan brand is, what's the second biggest brand in
pretty
the entire
Nike,
world?
Right?
Or it is the biggest brand tied with Nike, whatever you want to say.
You definitely can say that. It's definitely the most, it's recognizable
iconic,
brand, notable, global,
Exactly.
They're putting his logo on the NBA jerseys, That's how.
Right, that's, so when I worked for the Pistons, that's what, people were poking fun at us. Like, all right, now you guys got the association jerseys where you guys were the ones going against Kobe. You guys were the ones going against Jordan, and now you've got his logo on your jersey. And it's like, all right, well, times have changed. Times have changed, whatever. Because it's also like Blake Griffin was the guy in Detroit.
And he was
he's a Jordan,
sponsored by
Jordan athlete.
Fair.
So what are you going to...
Very fair.
But then, even after he's gone, it still is, all right, well, everyone now is wearing a Jordan jersey, a Jordan Jumpman logo. We talk about like college sports.
Yeah,
it's the coolest thing ever if you're a Jordan school.
It's a college student, college/athlete's dream to be sponsored by Jordan and get all the merch. Like, I can probably speak for most of them. Give me all the Jordan shoes, all the Jordan socks. This is very big. When I was in high school, I graduated in 2007, just to tell my age. It was only a few colleges sponsored by Jordan, maybe Oklahoma, North Carolina, a few colleges, and it was so cool. Michigan came later.
I feel like it might have just been Carolina that time, honestly.
North Carolina,
like
and they had the exclusive shoes, like they had the special edition shoes. Florida came on board, and it was just seeing all these special colors. I'm like, man, if I was sponsored by Jordan, I want to go to school just because they're sponsored by Jordan, just because I want the gear. You know what I mean? So that's definitely a strong influence. So it's definitely an iconic brand. But imagine New York Knicks. Do they have a Jordan sponsored jersey?
I'm sure they do. Every team does.
On top of that, Pat Riley retired. Didn't they retire Jordan jersey in Miami? Wasn't that a thing for his last run, or was that just rumored?
I wonder. Yeah, that must be rumored.
Okay.
I gotta look up now. Like, did the Wizards
Somebody
retire
leave
Jordan
that in the
because he played for the
Somebody
Wizards?
leave that in the comments for
whatever.
sure. Because I believe Miami Heat did retire a Jordan jersey, and they were like, "What the hell are they thinking?" Like Pat Riley after all those, but that was like, we just pay respect to one of the greatest. Like, we don't have anything against him. Like, he was a great player. You know,
I feel like maybe they. And there's some storyline there where LeBron changed because he changed his jersey number. He was 23 in Cleveland. He's 6
and then they
in the Heat,
maybe.
And then, but I feel like there was still he's changing his number because he's changing teams, not changing his number because he can't keep it. Right. I feel like that was the storyline there.
We gotta look that up for
but
sure.
I got one more question for you about Kobe, and then I got to ask you about this NBA season too. So, from watching all the Last Dance stuff, I think there's much more of a respect I have for Jordan. Like, everything that, there's just so much more backstory. There's the couple episodes about Dennis Rodman that just blew my mind because I just wasn't alive then, had no idea.
Yeah.
And then there's a couple episodes that blow my mind about Scottie Pippen. Like, Scottie Pippen's, I mean, we're talking a dude who's like unscouted. Just stuff that would never happen today, theoretically.
Like watching Batman.
And maybe the Scottie Pippen story now today is the honest story, or whatever you want to say, right? Like, there's almost no similarity to it, but there kind of is. But now everything off the court about Jordan is like you're saying, like, well, now it's whenever he talks, like, says something like the ceiling is the roof. So he has a weird comment in North Carolina, but that's like made into a quote. That's put on shirts. That's revered. That's whatever. That's a fun thing. When I remember watching Kobe play, and Kobe was in the league, I remember going, man, this guy's an a-hole. Like, this guy just is a savage, a-hole dude, whatever.
He's full of himself.
Then after he retires, but also towards the end of his years, he goes on podcasts where he says stuff that's really inspirational. He goes on through, and there's so many, you could spend a whole week or 5 years or whatever, scrolling through Instagram, just seeing motivational quotes Kobe said or whatever about, think if you get up at 3 a.m., you can get in 2 more practices a day. If you get, if you can just change your mentality, you still go to bed at 9 p.m. or whatever, and just all this different type of stuff, which I really think has helped Kobe's image. Now, of course, I wish he was still with us. Everyone does.
Right.
But do you think that seeing, Jordan really was that kind of a-hole that passed along kind of that a-hole mentality on the court, right? Because off the court, that just wasn't, it just seems like that wasn't Kobe. It just seems like maybe, after he was out of the league, maybe then he's passing, but, he's got the practice video footage of being like, we're all playing like Charmin out here and stuff too. That's his own teammates.
Yeah.
So do you think Kobe's, do you think the Last Dance helped Kobe's image going forward? Because it's like, well, now we get like a full 360 of Jordan and realize, maybe he wasn't like the greatest dude ever to people who didn't watch him play.
That's a great question because I feel like if you didn't grow up in a region or in Chicago, that you wouldn't hear those stories about Jordan being an asshole or in practice being that guy against players, versus Kobe. So to answer the question, do I think it helped a little? But then again, I think Kobe helped himself at the end of his career, just because if we just seen him on the court, we would think he was a prick because of the competitiveness.
Right.
Like, it wasn't no shaking hands like how it is now. It's no buddy. Now, hey, I'm out there to take your head off. Like, I don't care what you think. Like, yo, it's on the popping. Like, I remember Kobe biting his lip like you know what time it was. He's in Mamba mode. Biting his jersey. Yeah. You could look in Kobe's eyes and realize, oh, man, it's about to be a long night. It's going to be a good one, right? Like, get your popcorn. But I think it's to Kobe's advantage for him when his career was kind of ending, for him to go on a podcast. He was able to control his own story, his own narrative, they would say. He was able to show people why he was the way he was and how he thought, but how much he was able to pay respect for his competitors and what really drove him and gave you a really insight of his madness. Like, you guys think I was going crazy, but it was a reason for that. Like, that's what drove me. Like, that was my my recipe for success. You know what I mean? Like, everyone's different, but I had to be like this to perform, to execute the way I executed. Like, I know it was crazy. Like, you guys hated me, call me a ball hog. But to be honest with you, if you really watch Jordan games, Jordan didn't really pass the ball like that either. Jordan got his shots up. Like, you either trusted you or you didn't trust you. Either got your shots in or you didn't. If I give it to you, you better execute. If not, hey, guess what? You're not getting the ball for the rest of the game. That's how it was. But yeah, to answer your question, I think The Last Dance helped a little bit from the perspective, like, yeah, like, it's okay to be an asshole and be competitive and still be the greatest and still be an okay person, I guess. But I think Kobe, at the end of his career, like, you were able to respect him and see a lighter side of him, to see, hey, I write kids' book, I support women basketball, I support women's rights, I'm a dad, I want to coach one day, I want to do all these different side endeavors, you know. Such a successful man, like, just give you an insight, like, oh, man, it's just his drive and passion for what he does, pretty much.
I'll never forget the Instagram like video or whatever, but I've seen like Amon Shepard on a podcast, and I don't know if you've seen this, like where he's talking about Kobe playing against Kobe, where he's playing Kobe in New York, where it's Shumpert's home, hometown, and he goes, I was up, I was killing him through all first quarter I'm killing him, second quarter I'm killing him, third quarter I'm killing him, which I'm. In my head, if I'm beating Kobe in points in a game, no matter who I am, even if it's by one, I'm killing him.
Like that is, no matter what.
That is. So I'd be interested to see what the actual numbers were. But then at the end of the third quarter or going to the fourth quarter, whatever, Kobe comes over to Shumpert and goes, "Hey, good game, bro." Or whatever it is, right? Or good game, bud. Whatever it is. And Shumpert's looking around and goes, "And we got a whole quarter left. What are you talking about?" Right. And then Kobe just glares at him, or however. I mean, I should put together the video clip here, because that's a great way just to show, okay, hey, like, you had a good game, but you won't have a good one. Like, this is when it counts. This is when it matters. It's done.
And I think Kobe came in a great era where Jordan and all the OGs back in the day, that's how they brought him into the league. They didn't show him no slack. Like, he had to earn everything. So he played against the greatest who played the sport of basketball to know, like, yo, you have to get out here, young man, and do your thing and take it, or we're just going to run all over you. You better get it, you know what I mean? Like, you can have fun, but remember who the GOAT is. This is when Michael Jordan, the All-Star game, you know what I mean? He killed him. And I heard the story when he was with the Wizards. He scored a certain amount of points on Jordan. And Jordan told him, hey, man, good game, you're almost there. Or something like, you got to get wearing those shoes, those Nikes, he had some Jordans on, something like that. Wearing those shoes, you're going to have to do a lot better than that, but good game. So I think Kobe didn't talk to his teammates for like a week or two. Then the next time they played Jordan, he had like 42 and like three quarters. Like, he went crazy against Jordan and they won. Like, it was,
I mean, there's the DeMar DeRozan, like, just
I love
like
DeMar DeRozan,
like
man.
wearing Kobe's every single game except for the game he plays against Kobe, and then Kobe tells him like, oh, that's how it's gonna be, and immediately.
I never heard that story. He didn't wear the shoes. I know he's endorsed by Kobe, so the one game he didn't wear.
So I guess like before he was like a Kobe, or before he was a Kobe athlete, or whatever you want to say, Kobe brand guy, it's like, oh, okay, I see how it is, because you and I both know Kobe was watching all the footage.
Yeah, of course.
Right, so
he's the first endorsed Kobe athlete.
he sees him wearing Kobe's in every game probably,
course,
and then he goes, all right,
Kobe's most
right,
likely,
right, yeah, and so it's just kind of funny at that point, but plenty more Kobe stories anyone could look up. They're great. Kobe interviews, all type of stuff. But as far as getting to this past NBA season here, the main thing, all right, you're a Lakers fan more or less, right? Like they're your
you can say that.
I mean, are they
the Lake Show is my team? I get upset. I get emotional about it, so I would definitely call that my team for sure.
All right. Well, I got to ask you the Westbrook question then. So because behind you is a Westbrook photo, I mean, like there's a Thunder flag over here behind me, right? Like
Oh man,
I'm a Thunder fan.
Yes.
Die hard, all type of stuff.
Yes.
I'm willing to admit I understand Russ is not the greatest player ever, and also like I'm not that hard-headed where I go like, all right, Russ is definitely in the twilight of his career. He could definitely be playing better. But how do you feel about Westbrook over the last season? And I have a follow-up of like why there isn't that much blame being put on Anthony Davis just not playing games, but that's kind of a weird injury question too.
Right. So I don't want to be a prisoner of the moment, you know? Like I've seen Russell Westbrook. I was there at the Indiana Pacers games for my son's birthday when he broke Oscar Robertson triple-double record, you know? So I know what he's capable of. Like, he's a great player. Like, he's one of the most athletic, energized competitors there is. And like you said, let's be honest, this year wasn't his best year. Does that have something to do with being in the big lights at LA? A new system? Having to make sure everyone around him is comfortable or trying to ease his way in and see where he fits in, you know? I think that has a lot to do with it as well. And I think it was more mental for Russ this year. And as much as we don't listen to the tabloids and want to listen to all the morning shows and all the tabloids, it's kind of hard to escape that when everywhere you go in LA, like that's all you see. And you have fans coming up to you discussing basketball all the time. Of course, you put yourself in that space. Unfortunately for Russ, you know what I mean, he takes it a little bit more personal because he wears his emotions on his sleeve, which is nothing wrong with that. We got to realize, like, you play the sport of basketball. But it is a line, and I felt like I wouldn't even call them fans. You have the people who call themselves fans, but they cross a line and think they can do whatever they want and talk to any way that they want without respect because they pay for tickets or call themselves fans for so many years and all this stuff. And they want to see their team win. Of course, we're fans. We cuss at the TV all day. You mother effer. We want to slam stuff. I can't imagine how many TVs have been broken, how many things have been broken, how many wives have had silent nights because their husband is pissed off for the rest of the night because their team lose. And they get it. They just know, like, hey, I'm just not going to talk to this person for the rest of the night. The team lost. I get it. But these people are human as well. Yes, they get paid a lot of money to perform, but hey, man, they're human. I just really hope it had a lot to do with the system and nerves. He's human, and I'll be a sucker to count him out over one season and one performance after he just averaged a triple-double for the last, 2 seasons, maybe 3?
Yeah, 3 or
triple
so,
doubles.
3 or 4.
So you know he's capable of it. It's not that he can't do it. It has to be the environment, like some changes, you know what I mean? A different approach, a new system now, a new coach who actually believes in them. I'm pretty sure him and LeBron are best friends. Like, they're super cool. Like, I'm pretty sure they're cool. I'm pretty sure they're going to figure it out. AD, that's a big factor. Everyone being healthy, that's a big factor. But we will stick to Russell Westbrook, but I think he's going to bounce back. But it was sad to see. It's hard to see all the Russ talking. I know he hears all the crumbles and all this stuff, and it's hard to hear all the Russ backlash and all the bad talk about him, man, because I love Russell Westbrook, man. And my son tried to bust the jokes. I'm like, man, don't do that to Russ, man. You know better. Yeah. You seen Russ do his thing. Like, don't do this. Man, come on, man. I'm like, don't say that. It hurts my heart. It hurts my heart every time I hear it, but I get it. What he's displayed this season, it hasn't been his best work. But even with averaging numbers, it doesn't look bad. But to the naked eye, what we expect from Russ in this position, people say being a Laker, you're supposed to step it up. Being a hometown kid, that's even more pressure. So you even have your friends now, your family talking to you like, what's up, man? You got more people have more access to you. So Russ is just really going to just have to quiet out the outside noise, lock in, and just figure it out, man. He's as tough as it is, he's just going to have to take that with a grain of salt and just keep pushing, man, in my opinion.
I think it's a great way to put it. The only thing I'd add there is, like, whenever you have the stereotypical high school bully who's just trying to get under your skin, and they're just looking for someone to have a reaction.
A reaction, yeah.
When you have that reaction, they keep going. They keep, this is the guy who give me attention. This guy, whatever.
Because they know, and that's the one thing that people know about Russ.
And he's back home, like you said, too.
And they want it, and they itch for it, you know? Unfortunately, like, and I can't call those people's fans because, you know, we don't need that for the sport, you know what I mean? It's okay to be upset at your home, but it's another level to disrespect another individual for having a bad game. Like, we have bad days, you know what I mean? Like he said, like, what if someone came on your job and told you you suck at what you do? You know what I mean? You need to be doing, you know what I mean? Like, it's all about respect at the end of the day.
Yeah. Leave it in the game, at the arena, at your house if you're watching.
You know, you could cuss, you could yell, you could be disappointed, you could be sad, but at the end of the day, you go home, he goes home just like you. He's a human being just like you. He has a family just like you. You know what I mean? He has emotions and feelings just like you at the end of the day. But it's hard to disconnect that sometimes, especially now that you got DraftKings and all this stuff, you bet money and stuff, so, and fantasy. So fantasy didn't make it any easier. You know what I mean? Social media didn't make it any easier, you know? I'm pretty sure. Imagine if Jordan and them had social media back in the days, how much hate mail they would have got back in the day, you know? How many people poking fun at them and stuff like that.
Yeah, just kind of crazy there overall. Well, I gotta ask you now about the NBA draft at least, because I haven't done a podcast about the NBA since then. Who do you think won the NBA draft? Who made the best picks?
I think I'm gonna piggyback of pretty much the obvious answer, man. The Pistons did a pretty good job by picking Jaden Ivey, man, for real. I'm a Hoosier. I'm an Indiana fan.
Okay,
I went to Indiana, so it's kind of hard to say we say Perdon't or PU. So it's kind of hard to say a player from that other school is actually good. So I kind of ignored him during the college days just because, like, we're not supposed to be watching them. But
right. Oh, yeah.
You can't deny talent. You can't deny skills. And him and Cunningham, how Cunningham found himself at the end of the season and began to develop. I think that 1-2 duo is going to do very good, man. He looks very explosive. I've seen comparisons to Ja Morant, to Dwayne Wade. So if he could continue to do that and perform, and just take the game serious and work hard, I think he can definitely do it. He's very athletic, man. Very athletic. I've seen a couple of games in the summer league, averaging like 20 points doing his thing and just looking like he belongs, like he's built for the league. So I would say Detroit. Detroit didn't make any. They made a play that can potentially put them in a play-in game. You know what I mean? All I got to do is put the pieces together and all the performers do their thing.
For sure. Kind of off that, what do you think about the Thunder's draft? Just because, I mean, most of the listeners I have are Thunder fans in the day.
We got
Chet, so
right?
want the outsider campaign. You got Chet. Then you got a guy who I haven't watched play basketball, I got to be honest, before the draft, really, and Usman Dieng. Mm-hmm. And then you've got Jalen Williams, who played for Santa Clara, who I did watch a little bit, but I only watched him a little bit because he crossed up Chet and put his ass on the ground, over a play. So
got you. So
more or less, it's a Chet question.
I paid attention to a little bit of Chet, man. He has high potential, very high potential, man. He's great size, very offensive. The only thing I was worried about, what I did see, of course, everyone made a big deal about it when he got a body put on him. Very kind of curious of how he's going to hold up against a big body on defensively. If someone did pound it down there, you know what I mean? He's going to have to get in the weight room, of course, but it could be like a Porzingis. He'll drag him out and just shoot the three. You know what I mean? He's long. He has. So out of all those three people, that's who I'm pretty sure you guys are most excited about. A scorer. Looks like he's ready. A few years, he's going to be a star for sure. As long as he can stay healthy. Which I think he has shown like he can stay healthy. So I think Oklahoma got a great pick with that one for sure.
Like I said, I like the fact that he apparently pulled out of the Magic's training camp or kind of draft review stuff early in hopes that they would see this red flag and not go to the Magic.
And to be honest,
I like his fit with Oklahoma City. Any of those three.
As a Thunder fan, you guys should feel confident in whoever you guys pretty much pick, man. You guys have a great track record of NBA draft picks, so I would feel comfortable. Even if I didn't know who the person was. Yeah. They know what they're doing. Because, like I said, the track record speaks for itself. Like, you guys are in pretty good hands. You guys are pretty, have a good eye for talent. I'm pretty sure everyone agrees with that for sure. What you guys do with the talent is a different story, how it's organized. But you guys have had some talent run through Oklahoma City, man. So it's definitely shown it's a great sports city. The guys definitely deserve a team for sure. You guys know what you're doing for sure.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I definitely agree.
For sure.
Definitely agree. What chance do you give the Warriors to repeat? NBA champion, like coming to last season, I think there was a lot of, all right, let's see if the Warriors, and let's see if Clay, let's see if all of them can do it. There was not really anyone that I heard of talking, let's see if the Celtics can match them up there, but what chance do you give the Warriors here?
Man, to be honest, as biased as a Lakers fan as I am, and I love the Bay as much as I can't stand the Golden State Warriors, man. It hurts me to say. I don't see who's going to knock them off unless if they stay healthy, You got like you see what happened with a healthy Clay, healthy Steph, and Draymond. Their chemistry is unmatched, and that energy is in hard work and hard work ethic is infectious to the whole franchise. Like Jordan Poole came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And you look at him like, man, he has it. He got it. And it comes from great leadership with Steve Kerr, just believing in them and just having them do their thing and letting them figure it out. Like, you would think by the way they carry themselves, they're cocky, they're arrogant, I can't. And you would think the opposite, like they're supposed to be the quiet guys, the good guys, right? But Steph and Clay dismissed that early, like, nah, we're not the good guys. Like, we like to have fun too. The shoot three, walking away, the sleeping baby, all that good stuff, you know what I mean? They're like, nah, we're having fun too. Draymond was just, he's a wild card. He's a joker. Like, he was a Dennis Rodman. I think when people say Dennis Rodman and Draymond Green is more like the image and the tough ass image, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like on the court stuff.
On the court,
for sure, there's comparisons.
Hustle,
yeah,
Dennis Rodman was a different type of hustle. Like, he was jumping in the freaking crowd. Like, he had no second thoughts about his body. He didn't care. Like, I'm here for just this, you know what I mean?
Rodman had put up a stat line where he has 20 rebounds in a row, like in 4 straight games, and 0 points. That doesn't exist anymore. No one's doing that.
It doesn't. With dyeing his hair every game, he had a different color hairdo. But to stick to the topic, man, it's a pretty. They didn't make any changes. They didn't lose any good pieces. I think they lost Gary Payton Jr. The second. Other than that, man, they didn't lose too much, man. And if teams don't get their stuff together, it's going to be a long run. But we did see the potential of what a team like the Grizzlies could do. Mm-hmm. Imagine if they had a healthy Ja Morant. So it is possible. You just have to stay healthy. And some would say, Golden State maybe had a cakewalk this playoffs because most of the teams they played, the main stars were injured or, you know what I mean, the teams that they played, it wasn't really competitive. So as long as teams can stay healthy, man, we'll see. We'll see. But I don't want to say they don't have a good chance, but, it's Golden State Warriors, man. Like I said, we see this every year. Until you knock them off, what can you say about them? Anything else would be pretty much contradicting, man, to be a hypocrite.
Almost dislike the Warriors for the same reason I dislike the LA Dodgers. Mm-hmm. It just seems like whoever comes up through that system ends up being good. Out of nowhere. I mean, of course, they got the Thompson brothers. I mean, Klay Thompson and his brother who played for the Dodgers last night and hit a triple. Yeah, I mean, another reason for me to not like the Dodgers is because they have a Warriors brother there.
I didn't get the connection. Wow.
But I mean, Gary Payton Jr. leaves, but then they've got Jonathan Kuminga coming up, who looks like, I mean, he dunked all over one Thunder player in the Summer League game. So then I was like, all right, maybe. Then I had to start doing some more research, right? Like, once you do something like that, it's like, all right, like, who is this guy? What am I missing? And then James Wiseman, if he can be fully healthy, they have a second overall draft pick who didn't play a game last year. Didn't have a jersey number on the roster list.
And you're a dangerous team when everyone is prepared to play the role. When they're just happy to be there. Just how can I contribute to the cause? You know what I mean? Rather I play 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Like, once I get in the game, I'm gonna make an impact some type of way. If I'm focused on defense, I'm gonna be focused on defense. If I'm in here just to take a foul, I'll take the foul. But however I can help these guys, it's a supporting role. Everyone supports everybody. And kudos to Klay and Steph for having such an awesome relationship and chemistry, to not have egos and to root each other on and just being each other's biggest fan, because it's so easy to get caught up in the hype of who's the face of this and who's getting what, you know what I mean? It's so awesome to see them hold that together. And really, like, you don't hear much, if anything, about them having any issues against each other of who gets the most shots, who gets the most ball. Every time you hear them, Klay's hyping up Steph's hyping up Klay, and I think that's very important, man. And I think, like I said, that's infectious towards the team. The team is just happy to be there. Hey, I'll take off $4 million of my contract just to be here. Hell yeah, let's go. A chance to win a ring, a chip, a chance to play with Steph, who some might say is the GOAT right now. You know what I mean? The chance to play in the system, who I know, like, it's not that much pressure. All I got to do is do my job and execute, and I'm cool. Steve Kerr seems like a pretty cool guy. You know what I mean? Why not? Let's run it back. And I think that looks like a hot destination. So it's like, man, Golden State's looking pretty, I hate to say it, man. If they stay healthy, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be trouble.
And Andrew Wiggins. I mean, he's the guy you're talking about who bought in. That's the guy you're talking about.
How can I forget about him?
Who comes and but that's the guy you're talking about. He comes in, buys in.
Shout out to Wiggins for got drafted, I believe, number 1, number 2.
Number 1 overall.
Was supposed to go to Cleveland with LeBron.
Instead
I
of
remember
Kevin
that.
Love,
Then LeBron was like, nah, I'm not going to take him. You can send him to Minnesota. And for him to stay consistent and then stay hungry and to be able to pick up that role and those that space for Klay Thompson when he was injured and just, man, how major was he? He was a piece. He was that Andre Iguodala piece. Back in the day when they beat Cleveland, he was that little missing piece. And Wiggins, because that's what I thought was, I was like, man, there's no way Wiggins is going to keep consistently doing this. Like every night, especially in the playoffs, there's no way. And he showed. And that's having a coach that believes in you, teammates who believes in you and gives you the tools to be better. You know what I mean? That's all it takes. Just give me the opportunity to be a better player. You know what I mean?
Yeah, unless KD is traded to the Suns and is completely healthy and they keep Chris Paul.
It's a lot of ands.
There's just, way too much there. All right, well now I gotta ask you another Lakers question though. So the playing games, just for everyone's refresher, is the 7th through 10th seed in the NBA. So I want to ask you, do you think the Lakers end up being 1 through 6? Do you think they get in the playoffs where they're in the playoffs? They're playing a 7-game series. They're a 1 through 6 seed.
So you introduced me as a Kobe fan. I would say 100%. Of course, we're going to make it 1 through 6. Not even just being biased. I do not see, you can quote me, I do not see LeBron James missing the playoffs 2 years in a row.
That's fair. That's fair.
I do not see that happening. It's just not happening, guys. When he did miss the playoffs the first time, what did he do the following season? I believe they won a championship. COVID or not, in the bubble or not, he doesn't like that taste in his mouth. He realized the legacy is on the line, and I don't think that's going to happen. New system. Team is going to stay healthy, going to make some pieces, and they're going to have a fire burnt on them. I think they're going to do it. I think they're going to make it happen, man. There's no way they're going to be able to. And teams have, a few teams have kind of gone down. I would say more specifically the Jazz by trading Gobert, you know what I mean? So we'll have a little bit. What is Portland going to do, you know? Teams like that. Like, I'm very curious of what they're going to do with Damian Lillard, him just being there and how far he could take them by himself, man.
Yeah, when I go through the standings, I mean, that's we're getting at like that. One team, was going to come in, that's to replace another team. Well, we've got Phoenix, Memphis, Golden State, Dallas, and then Utah. Like, Utah's that 5th seed. I think Utah could be that team that is replaced by either Minnesota or the Clippers or the Lakers. And I would bet more on LeBron James and Anthony Davis being healthy for a full entire season, making a difference where they could be going. I mean, the Lakers were 1 win away from being a play-in team, and it's not the end all be all, but like
that's kind of crazy to think about by the season that they had, because they had an awful season. We couldn't get any traction, any type of streak going on at all. I remember watching the games like, man, I know they're going to just turn on the switch. Like, I know they're just going to win a couple, and they're going to figure it out pretty much. In every game, I just got disappointed. Like, man, we're really this bad? Like, what's going on? And I think things just, it was a figuring out stage. It was just a figuring out stage. And I think this year they'll figure it out. New coach, new system. When LeBron gets a new coach, he's pretty much is the coach. So he's going to be running the show. And we've been showed by history, LeBron knows how to run the show. He's a great director. So he's definitely going to get those guys together and figure it out, man. He's not going to let his troops down. He can't let the Laker Nation down. And out of those 3 teams, like the other team, on the other side of town, they have a lot of potential. I feel like they always have potential, though. We'll see how many games those guys get. Paul George and Kawhi get together. We always want the best competition, so hopefully they're healthy. I love basketball, man. I love to see great. So I hate to see like Kawhi miss half. As much as a Laker fan, I love it. Of course, I could talk stuff to the Clippers. Things like that.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
I would prefer to see them play most of the games and see some great basketball. And I love John Wall, so that's a great pickup. I love John Wall, but I haven't seen John Wall as much as I love him, like I love Russ. I haven't seen him stay healthy in 3 to 4 years. So I'm curious if he is anything a shell of himself from back in the day. I'm super excited. As much as I hate the Clippers, I would definitely be getting those cheaper tickets to check them out.
For sure.
John Wall,
I'll pick up that $11 ticket against the Thunder on a Monday night.
For sure. Electric. He's such an electric player to watch. But we don't know which Clipper roster we're going to get. So I wouldn't be spending too much money on that one. Or crossing my fingers or holding my breath for that one. So
yeah, I'm with you there for sure. Well, last question I have for you is, I mean, it's kind of Clipper related, but it's kind of just, who do you think won the offseason? Yeah, I mean, who's maybe a dark horse we're not seeing, NBA championship contender type of deal, right? Like, who made a big name for themselves this offseason, team-wise?
The teams that took the most risk, I would say, I had two in my notes who I thought about. Of course, for Minnesota, just to even take that leap was major. It was huge to get Gobert. That's the defensive presence. That gives Towns more space to move around. And you got talking about that's average of 40, 45 rebounds between two towers. You know what I mean? Looking possibly Tim Duncan and David Robinson type numbers if they do it right. Yeah, and you got a great point guard, Anthony Edwards, strong potential. You got D'Lo, D'Angelo Russell. He's doing his thing. He's found himself. Shout out to him. So to take the risk and do that, I definitely put them up there. And Christian Wood's going to the Mavericks, man.
Like the Mavs.
Great.
Losing Jalen Brunson, though? Is that matter that much to you?
To be honest,
kind of comparison?
They'll figure it out. Somebody come over. I think they'll find a replacement point guard pretty soon. Or a backup. They'll figure it out. Brunson was a big player. But then again, I felt the same way about what's his name? Played for the Pacers in the bubble. He got into it with Jimmy Butler, and Jimmy Butler was like, okay, CJ, what was his name? But anyway, he was good for that peak of time.
Gotcha, yeah.
And then after he just became...
Oh, yeah, he's the... Wait, is it the Raptors guy now?
Yeah.
CJ
Warren.
CJ Warren. Okay, yeah.
Warren. So we'll see what Brunson does when he has the bag, when he has that responsibility on his shoulders to actually have to perform.
Oh, TJ Warren, maybe.
TJ Warren.
Yeah.
It was TJ Warren.
Yeah.
TJ Warren. So I'm not really sold on Brunson yet. We'll see. We'll see what he does when he's the man and when he has to do it. Because it's easy to play great when a lot is unexpected of you and you have a great system. You have great players in front of you. You know what I mean? So we'll see. I'm hoping for the best for him. But that Christian deal was a big one. Oh, I really love the DeJounte Murray going to the Hawks.
DeJounte Murray.
I'm going to play with my boy Trey.
Man. You like your boy?
Yeah,
Trey,
I love that young man.
Killing me a little bit.
Of course, he hasn't executed as he's supposed to, man. But he's fearless. I have a tendency to have a soft spot for fearless people, fearless players, man. When they don't care, and when they're built for the moment, it means when the game is on the line or I need something, I can count on them. I don't want to be like, dude, what are you thinking? You know what I mean? Not get caught up in a big moment like a deer in the headlights. He's okay to make a mistake. And he's been exposed to a lot so far in his early career. So those things he should build on and make him a tougher player. You know what I mean? Being kicked out the playoffs, not performing. The big shot at Madison Square Garden, getting spit on, being in the public eye, being a villain. Those things is what create character in you and see how you perform and see what that makes you. It's going to make or break you. So this is the same thing that goes for us. This is going to be a make or break year for him. But Russ has shown been a resilient person, man. Thinking of being traded to those teams and being traded to Washington, people probably thought that was the end of him, and he said, hell no. I'm on average triple doubles the whole season. So for him to still stay relevant, I have a lot of hope for going back to Russ. I got a lot of hope in him to see what he does this year, man. He's going to bring us to the top. That's why we'll make the playoffs, because we have great players, man, great potential. We should do it for sure. Go Lake Show.
No doubt. Yeah. I think the Lakers have a really good chance of making the playoffs. Don't get me wrong. I am a big fan, though, of the Timberwolves move over the other two teams you talked about. Just because maybe I know too much about Christian Wood and how what he was doing in Detroit when he was with the Pistons, and that's why the Pistons were like, yeah, we're cool, and just let him go.
Right?
You know, bunch of off the court type of stuff, right? You just being a goofball. That's kind of it. I mean, the guy before then was playing overseas, right? Like there's a reason why a guy with that type of talent can't stay on NBA court.
Very true.
So I'm interested to see what he does with a true title contending team. Because when he was traded to the Rockets, they still had James Harden. So that was like, oh, okay, what can they do? And now, now he's back in that limelight. With DeJounte Murray and the Hawks, I think that's a great pickup for the Hawks. And I think the Timberwolves can. Gobert's a great pickup too, because it's a lot of draft picks. So hindsight might be 20/20, but I'm always going to be a proponent of a team who is not doing that great, making a move to do better. Like there's no reason in my eyes where you go, all right, got Anthony Edwards, got Karl Anthony Towns under contract for several more years. But you know what? Let's wait for a better, okay, what else can we do? What could be better? It's like, well, you know what? Guy's available, go get him.
Let's get another big man. Let's invest in the future. That's why I like Golden State so much, because they took the risk on KD that one year, doing that. And let's not sleep on Brooklyn, man. As much controversy is going on with them, they got some great pickups in the offseason. And let's be honest, KD and Kyrie is most likely is going to go back. And they were a great team without these pieces, and I think they're going to be something to reckon with as well.
I mean, give them a whole year to play together. Get Ben Simmons actually playing basketball again.
Granted, to see any type of Ben Simmons, to see what he's capable of and see what he's doing, and it's going to be interesting. The East is always interesting. The East is going to be. We're going to see Miami. No one's going to. I don't see KD and Kyrie going anywhere, so Brooklyn's still going to be something to reckon with. They just have to be healthy, like everyone else. They just have to be consistent and play games together. Point blank, period. You just got to play games. Got to show up.
Yeah. Well, hopefully the vaccination stuff doesn't matter anymore for Kyrie, and he can just play.
Shout out Kyrie. Yeah. We got to play some games this year, man. We got to get some buckets to show him who Uncle Drew really is.
There's a whole movie where Kyrie starred in a movie. And granted, it was a funny movie, but it was a comedy. But that wasn't that long ago, and all of a sudden now Kyrie's just a whole media piranha. It's like, all right, we gotta.
And it's crazy how much the off-court stuff affects the on-court. And once we realize that, maybe it'll be a lot simpler, but it's sports. This is what we have these conversations for. That's why we have these platforms. That's why we're able to have these conversations. And that's what keeps the people talking. That's what keeps us fans. You know what I mean? Either bigger fans or worse fans, or a bigger enemy or bigger opponent or rival, nemesis. That's what it's all about. For sure.
For sure. Well, Chuck, you got any shout-outs here as we end this one out?
Man, shout out Mass Original Clothing Brand. Shout out my family. And shout out Calvin, man. Thank you for having me on the show, man. And make sure you guys tap in and tune in. You guys have a go.
Awesome. Well, Chuck, thanks so much for joining. Please follow at the CGA Tour on Twitter and Instagram for more. Like and subscribe on YouTube as well. We'll catch you guys in the next one.
Yes, sir.